Welcome, fantasy football family, to another episode of Off the Line Fantasy Football Podcast. It's your boy Eugene. I'm one of the hosts of the show. Thank you for tuning in and listening to us for another episode. You can find me on Twitter at FantasyGenes, Genes. You can also find our official Twitter handle at Off the Line FF. We just here talking all things fantasy as we get ready for the playoffs. Some people's playoffs might have started last week. Some people's playoffs might be starting this week.
Have no idea why.
Yeah, some people's playoff run could be starting this week because of like the implications of this week trying to get into the playoffs next week. Anyway, how that falls, hopefully we can, talk about some players, some situations, and get you ready for another week as we get ready for the fantasy playoffs. Now, to the other host of the show, Ike, what's going on? How you doing?
Good, man. I can be found on Twitter at just_Ike09. And yeah, like Gene said, yeah, we're at the damn near at the end of the regular season. We actually have 4 bye weeks. We have the Dolphins, Colts, Patriots, and then I can't remember who else. Dolphins, Colts, Patriots,
Philly,
and Philly. Yeah. So 4 bye weeks. You still got to make some moves. Unfortunately, if you guys have, if this is the playoffs for you guys, yeah, that sucks. Especially if those of you with Jonathan Taylor on your squads, that's pretty unfortunate. It couldn't come at a worse time for his bye week. But hopefully, he built you guys a pretty damn good lead in your leagues, and you're not really sweating this week. So
yeah. I remember in one of the dynasty leagues I'm in, I had to send a message like, "Hey man, you might need to change this start week of the playoffs," because he still had it at week 14. In that league, I have Jonathan Taylor, so I was definitely like, "Nah, man, like I'm gonna need that."
Yeah, a couple. Yeah, I saw that note. I saw a similar note passed around, across multiple leagues that I'm in. Just making sure, like, look, playoffs are not going to start week 14, buddy. This is not 2020. This is not 2019. This is not years past. Like, there's an extra game. Start that thing on week 15.
Let's get it right, man.
Yeah, let's get it right. Speaking of, well, not necessarily getting it right. I would say this guy did get this decision right. Let's start with the Ravens and Steelers game really quick. Lamar Jackson drove down the field out in the fourth quarter and threw a touchdown pass to Sammy Watkins, but they decided to go for 2. I feel like that was the right decision.
Very ballsy. I liked it too.
Very, very ballsy. You have to admire the aggressiveness. I mean, given all the injuries the Ravens have had on defense all season long, I think Marlon Humphrey got injured and he's out for the season. So that's another guy. Adds to the collection of bodies that they have on IR. I think it's over 20 players on IR that they have now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just Lamar Jackson threw a pass to Mark Andrews just off his fingertips. He was trying to evade the rush from TJ Watt. But you have to admire that that the guts there that took. And obviously John Harbaugh said after the game that they were just pretty much out of corners. They didn't have anybody to really cover. And honestly, like, it didn't seem like they had corners out there to cover Diontae Johnson, who went off again this week. He had 8 catches, 105 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He is now the wide receiver 7 in PPR leagues. This past week, he had a 35% target share. And over the last month, he leads all receivers with a 32% target share. And on the season, he's at around 26%. Over the last 4 weeks, basically over the last month, he is the wide receiver 2 overall in PPR. So he's just, he's balling out of control now. He is, the Pittsburgh passing game. If the very few passes that Big Ben can throw throughout the course of a game, the vast majority of them are going to Diontae Johnson, because that's all he can really throw to him and Freiermuth and a couple of decent shots to Chase Claypool, but. By and large, this guy is as automatic as it gets. His weekly floor is as safe as it gets, and he does have a pretty good ceiling. due to his ability to get open and rack up yak
Yeah.
on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I also want to talk. I mean, Lamar. Just to go back to what you said about that first game, Lamar didn't really look good at all. He's been struggling the past month. So hopefully, the Ravens need him. Fantasy owners that have Bateman or Brown, Andrews. I mean, we need them. So hopefully, he can turn it around.
Yeah.
I uh, I guess one of the darlings of last year's fantasy year popped his face up for Week 13 versus the Jets. Gardner Minshew. He looked really good in that first half. You saw Dallas Goedert go super nuts.
Yeah.
I went against him in a couple leagues and it hurt. Um, I mean, like I said, he looked good in the first half. Second half, he didn't really do much. They just ran the ball really. I don't know, but we'll touch on that Gardner. You already know what happened as soon as you saw the first touchdown. You already saw the comments on Twitter. So
Quarterback controversy, this, that,
yeah,
and the other. Oh
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so
Well,
don't worry. We're not going to bury the lead. We have a very special edition of Cap or No Cap featuring Gardner Minshew. But we'll let you guys just think about that until we get there.
yeah. Another quarterback that that went ham. Your boy Tom Brady again. Another four touchdowns, 368 yards. I mean, if you watch the beginning of that game, it was 14 straight passes. Like you already knew what time. Like Atlanta should have already knew what time it was. We're just gonna pass on you and try to stop us. He completed 14 passes over 10 yards in that game. He's now at 34 touchdowns for the season. I think they're projecting him to get 52 touchdowns, I
53. He's
believe.
on pace
53,
for 53 touchdowns, and I think just shy of
the
5,400 yards.
passing record. Yeah,
Yeah,
just shy of the Breeze's passing record.
yeah,
I wonder, I mean, knowing them over there, Bruce Arians, I bet you they're probably thinking about trying to get that joint. So it's going to be close
absolutely they
for
are.
sure. Yeah, it's definitely going to be close. Also in that same game, my boy Chris Godwin was on God mode.
On God mode.
15, 15 catches, 143 yards, 33% target share. I mean, they couldn't stop him in the intermediate areas. His A dot was low; it was only at 5.7. But I mean, he went crazy. Even when I saw him go down, I thought he was going to be out. Then he comes back and he just continues what he was doing. This was the most catches in a game since Keenan Allen with 16 from last season. I mean, they were humming. I mean, they played Atlanta, so you
I mean,
already know.
isn't the last name Godwin just so perfect?
I
You have
know.
God and you have Win. Like that is just absolutely perfect. And of course, it's no secret and it's no surprise that he's balling, right? I mean
Yeah,
that guy's pretty good at football.
he is. And then another player in that game that we need to mention is CPAT. His usage has definitely been down since he's came back from that ankle injury. I don't know if it's still affecting him or what, but this is the third straight game where he played less than 50% of snaps. Not really involved in the passing game at all. Not like he was before the ankle injury. I know some of us CPAT owners that are dependent on him. I mean, we need to see this go up, and hopefully with their tough little challenging schedule going to the end of the season. Hopefully we see him more than just the feature back. So, um,
Yeah, I mean, I think they're using him more as I think he's getting more running back usage than in the
yeah,
passing game. I mean, he still
hmm
had 13 for 78 in this game. So I mean, he was that's another game that he's over 5-6 yards a carry. So I mean, and that's against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, you can't really run on them for the most
hmm
part, but they had pretty decent success. I mean, even dusty ass Mike Davis had a 17-yard touchdown run.
he sure did. He looked
Um,
good on that run too.
but transitioning though, one guy that looked good on a lot of runs on Sunday night. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this guy. He was the talk
Ooh.
of Twitter. He was the talk
Oh
of
my.
as soon as this guy got ruled out due to injury, you couldn't
Whew.
go. You couldn't scroll, 2 or 3 tweets without seeing this guy's name, and I'm
No,
talking about Javonte Williams,
my
uh,
goodness,
running
man.
back for the Broncos. This was the week that he was unleashed. this is what everybody had been waiting for. He's been breaking tackles all season. He just hasn't gotten the playing time, but he finally got unleashed. He played 79% of the snaps, and he had 178 scrimmage yards on 29 touches. And he scored a touchdown, but he was the number one overall running back on the week.
Bruh.
Surprise, right? Surprise.
Like, it was crazy. Like, yeah, I mean, we already know Teddy B sucks, so
Yeah,
it's just
Teddy
crazy that you
Bridgewater's
saw him.
he's not taking advantage of those weapons that they have. So, what do? They just fed Javonte Williams all game long, and they ended up losing the game. But most fantasy managers don't give a shit about that.
Nope.
They care about what they saw from Javonte Williams, and
Yeah.
he had 3.17 yards per carry after contact. That was most amongst running backs on the week. And his schedule down the stretch, his fantasy playoff schedule, he has the Lions, the Bengals, the Raiders, and the Chargers to close the season.
Man,
and they're
you can run
you can run on all of them. They're all in the bottom 8 in PPR points per game allowed to running backs. So yeah, his very first time being a bell cow, he's smashed, and it's scary hours for those who are going to go up against this guy in the fantasy playoffs, because he's going to be a league winner. We'll see what happens with Melvin Gordon if he's still nursing that thigh injury, but whatever. I think he had a thigh and a shoulder injury, or no, sorry, hip injury, and then a hip and shoulder injury. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, Javonte Williams,
that's a league winner if Gordon's out for sure.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
No question.
Yeah. Speaking of continuing this theme of league winners, death taxes and Cooper Kupp, right? That's pretty much been the motto all season. Another 8 catches, 129 yards, another touchdown. He's the only wide receiver with over a 30% target share at 31%. He just, he does what he wants. He's automatic as it gets, even in positive game scripts. They beat the Jacksonville Jaguars 37-7, and they were pretty much up the whole game, and Cooper Kupp still gets his. They're trailing, they're getting blown out by the Titans, or they're getting blown out by, the Packers. Cooper Kupp still gets his. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what happens. He's just, over I think he's over 100 catches, 1,000 yards, and 10 touchdowns already. We still have like 4 or 5 games left in the season. So yeah, Cooper Kupp is just on another tear. And then this guy, another wide receiver that's been having quite a solid last couple of weeks. T. Higgins for the Bengals. They did lose to the Chargers, but he had 9 catches, 138 yards, and a touchdown on 14 targets. This is his second straight game of over 100 yards receiving. And I think the guard is starting to change a little bit in that Cincinnati passing game. I don't know, and that's
it's looking good for that man.
It's looking really good for him. 37% target share, and over the last couple of weeks, he's averaged about a 33% target share. He had 105 air yards this week. Now was second amongst wide receivers. So yeah, T. Higgins, man, and then that touchdown that he had across the middle, just grown man shit, man.
Oh yeah, man, that is disgusting.
Two
defenders,
two defenders. Yeah, like
they had no chance.
They had no chance, and while MarrChase is on that regression roller coaster right now, it's T. Higgins time right now. So we'll see if this usage continues, and we'll touch more on T. Higgins and the MarrChase dichotomy a little bit later on.
Yeah, and then finally to end the segment was the Lions. They finally won a game. Like
finally,
it's crazy. I don't know what the Vikings were doing, man. Like
they didn't even cover the goal line. Like
they're playing off. Like they're playing off, and then nobody came down until after the pass is thrown. The wide receiver's already cutting in his slant or post route, whatever you want to call it. It's too late, bro. Like I don't get it, man.
It was the most Vikings way to lose the game, because I think the vast majority of the games this season have ended in either one score or on the last play of the game.
Oh, so did you see?
Crazy.
Yeah, so there was a stat, I forgot who posted it. The Vikings are the only team to lead by at least 6 points in every game this season.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Can you imagine leading what you played 13 games
Yeah,
and you've
the
led
12
in
games.
all 12 games. You've led in all of them and
By
you
at
only
least
got
a touchdown.
by at least a touchdown. You only got 5 wins to show for it.
Yeah,
That boy,
that's
I don't know what screams fire me louder than that. So,
yeah, you have missed field goals, you have field goals go against you, you have last-second touchdowns caught on you, like, you find new and innovative ways to lose on a weekly basis if you're like, I can't imagine what Vikings fans feel like because it's just, it's one heartbreak after the other. I thought the Cowboys, the cardiac Cowboys, that we cheer for, go
yeah,
through it every week, but not on the
nah,
level of the
not
Vikings losing,
yeah. This is way worse.
yeah,
This is way
absolutely.
worse. But onto that game, one of the guys for our fantasy MVP of the week, our boy Justin Jefferson. He didn't let the nonsense that's around him stop him from getting his.
Yep.
You saw Adam Thielen get hurt very very early in that game, and he's just like, hey, put it on my back. I'll do it myself. He goes for 11 for 182 and a touchdown, 34% target share, 8 first downs that he amassed in that game, 142 air yards, which was the most of the week. And he also caught 5 balls over 20 yards. Uh, just he's been on a tear the past month. I mean, he's the wide receiver one the last 4 games.
Yeah.
Just I don't know. He's just been on another level.
Yeah.
And
He's the wide
and this
receiver
is
2 overall.
yeah, and this is even this is while still being frustrated with Kirk Cousins on his erratic throwing, but he still finds a way to get it done.
So,
Another player, go ahead.
real quick, so with regards to, Justin Jefferson just having this monster season, I feel like he's even better than what he was last year, than what he showed
Hmm.
last year. So where do you think he ranks, like, in wide receivers? Like, is he the best receiver in the league or the second best receiver in the league? I wouldn't go as far as saying that he's the best. I would say he's behind Davante Adams, but I can't really see anybody else being better than
Do
him
you
right now,
think?
just based on the way he's playing. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I don't think it's hyperbole because it's just, I don't
I
know.
want,
Like,
yeah. I want to say he's behind Devontae, um, for me, and I want to say Tyreek, but Tyreek, like their offense right now is so like they figured it out and they don't know how to they don't know how to unleash him again. But with Jefferson, I just feel like it doesn't matter. Like it just doesn't matter. Like
he's just so
he's getting
smooth when he runs
open.
his route.
Yeah,
He just gets
yeah,
open all the time, and and hell, this 11 for 182 and a touchdown could have been even bigger because there was like a big play, I think, in the middle of the game where, Kirk Cousins kind of hesitated before he threw it, and Justin Jefferson had a couple steps on the defender.
yeah.
He could have had like a longer touchdown. So this
Mm-hmm.
this day could have been a lot bigger for him.
Yeah.
So, man, like, Justin, I think he's the second best receiver in the league behind
Would you?
Davante Adams
Okay,
right
so
now.
is he your wide receiver 2 in Dynasty? Are you saying that then, or are you just saying like just pure just watching?
Just watching right now.
Okay.
I'd say he's the second best receiver in the league right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't. I mean, even like you got Cooper Cup doing what he's doing, but I think my preference would be Justin Jefferson. So
Yeah.
I think we're on the same page with that. Um, the other fantasy football MVP of the week for us, I got is George Kittle. Finally, finally we see him, get off like we're used to. But I mean, he did it supersized
Yeah.
versus division foe Seattle Seahawks. He goes for 9 for 181 and 2 touchdowns. Half of the team's offensive total yards were on this man's legs. On 12 targets, 40% target share, 47% of the air yards, 6 receptions with at least over 20 yards. I mean, he was crazy. Like I remember that the one pass he had up the middle, and he's just like, and then he ends up tiptoeing the sideline for the
Yeah.
touchdown. Just like, bro, like what can he not what can he
Yeah.
not
He
do?
that was a beautiful tightrope that he did on the sideline.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah,
And plus he has some speed. He's over. I think he had a early season calf injury. So he's clearly over that. So
yeah.
he's explosive as ever. And just, seeing this kind of performance from him, it excites you, but at the same time it frustrates you because this guy is like always injured and he's always hurt, and you know that this is the talent, this is what he's capable of. This is not even this 181 yards for him. It's not even like I think it's his third highest total in his career. I think he's had a couple of 200 yard games as a tight end. And so like
crazy.
this guy has immense talent. If he can just stay healthy and put it all together, like he did in 2018, his breakout year, and just be more consistent. Like, this guy can, he is definitely up there as one of the best tight ends in the league when fully healthy.
So definitely. Now,
we have to go. Unfortunately, we have to kind of pivot a little bit. Fantasy LVP of the week, and we'll go with Tyrod Taylor, quarterback for the Texans. The Texans got blown out by the Colts, 30-0 at home. In that game, he was 5 of 13 for 45 yards and an interception. They were just hopeless from the jump. They had nothing for the Colts, and the Colts defense is beatable, but he just played really, really bad. It's just an overall terrible situation for Houston. But it did come out that he hurt his wrist, or he hyperextended his wrist pretty bad. So it could have been a combination of, hey, he got benched and maybe he got injured as well. So, but aside from that, like he was just awful the whole game. He played most of it. He played like I think 3 quarters, 2.5, 3 quarters. So yeah, Tyrod Taylor, our fantasy LVP of the week, and hopefully we don't have to mention him again on this segment.
Yuck.
Yes,
all right.
yucky.
Now to our favorite segment of the show, cap or no cap. I feel like this one's gonna be a little spicy. I mean, at the end, let me go ahead and I'm gonna start this one off with Gardner Minshew. Wait, before that, let me just make sure that we break down what cap or no cap means for the people that are listening for the first time. And you might not know what cap means. Cap is just another way of saying you're lying. So if I say that, hey, the Dallas Cowboys suck, Ike will say
that's cap. It's a big cap. We're 8-4, and we lead the division. We're gonna win the division.
Talk to him. All right.
Yes, sir.
So basically, that's an easy example of understanding what cap means. So all right. So our first statement is Gardner Minshew should start for Philly after the bye. Cap or no cap?
Boy, if that's not the biggest cap of all time, I don't know what is. Like that is so cap. That is so cap. And there's people saying, "Oh, Gardner Minshew should start for Philly after the bye. He's got the job. Jalen Hurts lost the job." Guys, are you forgetting that this is Gardner freaking Minshew, the same guy that got benched for Jake Luton and some other terrible quarterback in Jacksonville?
Wasn't Glennon? Was Glennon one of them quarterbacks too?
It might have been Glennon. Whoever it was,
both of them. Yeah,
it's two no-namers basically. So you can't be a prisoner of the moment. They play the Jets. They're basically last in everything defensively. They're last against defending the run. They're damn near last at defending the pass. I think their pass DVOA is 32nd and their run DVOA is like 31st. Like it's just they're an awful defense, and of course Gardner Minshew, even Jalen Hurts would have torched them too. So just don't go out over your skis and say, yeah, Gardner Minshew is the starter. He's gonna get this Eagles offense humming. Jalen Hurts had one bad game, and now everybody's all over the backup quarterback, because that tells me they've been looking for a reason to replace Jalen Hurts for whatever reason. I don't get it, because he had that Eagles that Eagles team on a little bit of a win streak before they lost to the Giants last week. Yeah. So, but again, yeah, this is big cap, major cap, all the cap, 1 cap, 2 cap, 3 cap, 4 cap, 5 cap. So with all
the NBA teams.
Yes, all the caps, all the caps. Yeah, so let's just stop.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, you did get to see. We saw Dallas Goedert do a lot of work in that first half, but again, it was the Jets. They refused to cover that guy, so of course he scored. Of course, he pretty much went over 100 yards and had 2 touchdowns in the first half, man. So, outside of that, he didn't do anything in the second half. Um, I I mean they were running. Yeah, they were able to do what they wanted. It was the Jets. I think Hurts. He gives you. I mean, he's a Konami code type of quarterback. Yes, he struggles to throw with accuracy at times, but I mean, overall, I think he gives them the best chance to win.
Yeah.
So I think also it's Cap. So second one is Jaylen Waddle will finish the season as the top scoring wide receiver, rookie wide receiver. Cap or no cap?
I don't see how this is. I feel like this is no cap because he has a consistent role in that Miami Dolphins offense. He is the undisputed number one receiver in that passing game. Over his last what was it five games he has no less than 61 yards in 4 catches. So he's been balling lately, and last 4 weeks he's wide receiver 4 in PPR and 6th in total targets. He had a little bit of a slow start. He was kind of up and down, but now Tua's been playing so much better since the bye week and since he took over since coming back from that little finger injury. He's locked in Tua's locked in the Waddle, and it kind of goes back to that Alabama connection that they had in college. So I think this is going to continue through the rest of the season. So I think this is no cap.
Yeah, I also believe this is no cap. He's surprised me. I mean, I thought he was a reach, and but they're using him like he's being used everywhere, and now they're taking shots with them. Like before,
Yeah.
everything was just 10 yards and in. Now they're throwing deep shots towards him, and then also now you got Devontae Parker on the other side to even alleviate some of the uh, coverage that he might have been seeing before he came back to the lineup. So I just wheels up for Jaylen, man. Like
Yeah.
he's ready to go. So I believe there's no cap.
Yeah, and I think they
All
have
right.
a pretty favorable schedule over the last like several over the basically over the in the fantasy playoffs. They have coming out of their bye in week 15, they have the Jets.
Mm.
As we just mentioned, the Jets are pretty much last at defending everything. They have the Dolphins. I'm sorry, the Dolphins. They have the Saints, and they have had trouble defending wide receivers. And then they have the Titans, and that's another team that had trouble defending wide receivers. And then obviously, then they have the Patriots. They've been pretty stout for the most part, but 3 out of those 4 games, they're going to be actually 15, 16, and 17. That's the fantasy
Mm-hmm.
playoff. So
Yep.
you don't even have to worry about that Patriots game. So yeah, they have a very favorable schedule to close things out.
Yeah. And our last one, T. Higgins has supplanted MarrChase as the Bengals' number one wide receiver. Cap or no cap?
Well, for me, I think this is no cap. I firmly believe this is no cap. I think there is a bit of a changing of the guard going on in Cincinnati. MarrChase, I'm sorry, T. Higgins has 82 total targets on the season in only 10 games. That's 8.2 targets per game. MarrChase has 88 targets on the season in 12 games, but that's 2 more games. So on a per game basis, T. Higgins is targeted more. Cincinnati has 3 talented wide receivers. Obviously, they have Higgins, Boyd, and Chase. When they've been on the field together for 10 games, T. Higgins leads the team in target share at 24.9%. So Joe Burrow, he still likes T. Higgins. He still likes to feed him the ball. And over the last couple of weeks, a 35% target share, 33% target share, 15 catches, 252 yards, and 2 touchdowns. A lot of attention has been focused on MarrChase over the last several weeks, and like we said, regression has hit him. And I think T. Higgins is kind of catching his stride, as we prepare for the fantasy playoffs in the home stretch. So I think, at least for my money, it's no cap, based on what we've seen recently. So
As bad as I want to say cap, this is no cap. There's too many. The numbers swing to T Higgins in T Higgins' favor when the ten games that they played together. I mean, even since T Higgins came back from injury when he missed those 2 games at the beginning of the season since week 5. I mean, MarrChase has 30 more yards than him, 2 more touchdowns, uh, yards per reception is a little bit higher, uh, has more red zone targets, has more receptions over 20 yards, is a little higher than him in the overall wide receiver rankings. But overall, you can just tell that that the regression has hit Chase. I don't know if I think one thing for sure is that they it looks like Burrow looks for Higgins a lot more when they need a first down for sure. You can you just see it. Um,
Yeah,
it looks like he trusts him a little bit more.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to concur with you, even though I didn't want to. That T Higgins does look like the number one right now, and Chase looks like a rookie that's trying to figure out how to get open once we get closer to the playoffs, and defenses get a little more detail oriented and trying to stop deep threats. So
yeah, and not to pile on Chase too much, but there was a play in the game where he got open deep for it was going to be like a 60, 70-yard touchdown.
Yes.
Joe Burrow hit him right on the money, and he dropped the hell out of the ball and led to an interception.
Yeah,
I was at
man.
the gym. Watching on I was at the gym on the treadmill. I was jogging and I was watching that play. I actually stopped. I actually stopped
Bro.
mid jog. I stopped. I stood on each side of the belt as it was running, and I just threw my hands up. I was like, "What the hell did I just see?"
Bro, I
So
did the same thing. I was on the couch and my hands just went like this. I was just like, what?
yeah,
Like, how did you just do this? Like, he had the ball. It's almost like rocked the cradle back to the corner that was behind him, and he
yes.
picked it off.
Yeah, it looked like a typical, MarrChase house call from 70 yards, and
Yeah.
it just boop, 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 hit him in a tough spot,
Yeah.
hit him in the hands.
Yeah. Maybe because he didn't have the lines on the ball for that
Yeah,
one or something. I don't know.
yeah,
Um, yeah, but hopefully he figures it out. I mean, I can't. There's really nothing else to say. You can just tell that Burrow's looking for Higgins when he needs a play right now. So
and then, we say all this, and then MarrChase has, 8 catches, 197 yards, and 2 touchdowns the next game, and then
yeah,
we look like idiots.
yeah. But I mean, overall in your lineup, you gotta just be patient. You just gotta ride him out. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
like you can really trade at this point. So just
yep,
hopefully he gets out of it, and the chase train can continue.
yep.
Um, now we hit on the segment of the show where we talk about waiver wire pickups. Um, this is a very crucial week for some folks. Some folks are dealing with they having quarterbacks on bye, wide receivers, running backs, whatever the case might be, or dealing with injuries at certain positions. Hopefully, we can touch on some pickups that are available in your leagues, and you can go and get them, and hopefully they lead to a victory. So, first off, we hit on quarterbacks real quick. We got if Taysom Hill is still available in your leagues, they are playing the Jets. We don't. I mean, if you listen to our show enough, you know that it's fade Jets no matter what.
Fade the Jets.
You just saw Gardner Minshew do major work in the first half through the air, and then you saw in the second half they just gashed him on the ground. So, and Taysom Hill can actually do both, kind of. So, he is dealing with that finger injury, but it looks like he's going to be playing through it. So, again, they are playing the Jets. If Taysom Hill is available and you need a quarterback, pick him up. Second player is going back to Cam Newton. He's going back home. Like we said before, he does love A-Town stomping the Falcons. They have the worst the worst pass rush in the league. So, but maybe he might be using his legs more because they just because they Carolina just got rid of Joe Brady as OC, and the replacement is actually somebody that Rule likes, and maybe he might get his way, and they might run the ball like 30 times or something foolish. So
Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with that Carolina Panthers offense. That was just I didn't understand why they fired him. All the bad organizational decisions they made, especially at quarterback, and then they just choose Joe Brady to be the fall guy. Like that didn't make a lot of sense to me. But we'll see what happens with that. With that offense. A couple of guys I have here. We have a couple of running backs. Our running back section is pretty short this week. This is your final warning. If you have not picked up Sony Michel from the Rams, you need to pick him up. If you didn't listen the last 2 weeks and you missed out on that, you have one more chance to do it this week. It's a possible league winner, and he smashed last week against the Jags. He had 24 carries for 121 yards and a touchdown. I personally think he looked better than Darrell Henderson, did throughout the season running the ball. He was, pretty explosive. Had a couple of good runs. So yeah, pick up Sony Michel while Darrell Henderson is hurt, nursing that thigh injury. And then next we have Kenneth Gainwell for the Eagles. If Boston Scott was, he was active, but he didn't really play. He didn't get a single carry or a single offensive snap. I think he was on special teams for the most part. And then Jordan Howard is still nursing an injury, and then Miles Sanders hurt his ankle towards the end of the game, so he's going to be pretty sore, through the bye week, and maybe limit his practice reps coming into the next week. So Kenny Gainwell, he had a pretty good game. He had 12 carries for 54 yards and a touchdown, and then he had caught another 5 balls as well. So he does have an all-purpose skill set. So we'll see if any of those 3 running backs are hindered or hampered in any way.
All right, so we do have a little bit of a list for wide receivers. First one is Russell Gage. You saw last week he went 11 for 130. He's
Prize
averaged
Picks prop hit pretty easily.
That's true. That's very true. And that was before the first half was even over with. But let me get back to it.
Right.
7.5 targets per game the last 5 without Ridley. He has out targeted Kyle Pitts 38 to 32 in that same span. Very solid floor option if you need a wide receiver. The next one is KJ Osborne. We saw, like we said before, Thielen was hurt very early in that game, and then KJ stepped right into his role. Pretty much, he just ran one less route than Justin Jefferson in the game. Actually played one more snap than Justin Jefferson in that same game. He had 4 receptions for 47 yards and a touchdown on 7 targets. So definitely somebody to pick up. Another one, surprisingly, from the depths of who knows what, Laquan Treadwell for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It looks like he's their number 1 right now. I mean, he's the last couple of weeks he's played the most snaps, gotten the most targets. Last week against the Rams, he went 4 for 62, which was a career high. 93% of snaps, 8 targets last week. Their playoff schedule is very soft with Tennessee, Houston, and the Jets. Yeah, I mean, if you're desperate for a wide receiver, Laquan Treadwell could be an option. We also
we have
oh man,
it just seems funny to say. A couple more receivers here. We have Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Lions. He had 10 catches, 86 yards, and the game-winning touchdown for them this past week on 12 targets. It seems to me that Jared Goff is kind of locking in on him over the last couple of weeks. So if he's on your waiver wire, I would definitely pick him up. And then the next guy we have is Marquez Valdez-Scantling for the Packers. Before their bye week, Randall Cobb hurt his groin, and we don't know what his practice participation is going to be. But the 2 games, the last 2 games, MVS has had 19 targets, and then his ADOT has been 19 in that span. So he's being used as a deep threat, and he's getting the targets. So he'll have a couple of boom opportunities, especially against the Bears this Sunday night, if Randall Cobb misses any additional time. And then just one more receiver here, Jalen Guyton for the Chargers. Keenan Allen did test positive for COVID, and he's on the COVID list as of yesterday. He still may play because he was vaccinated. I guess he just needs to get his 2 negative tests 24 hours apart before he's able to play, and he doesn't have any lingering symptoms. Jalen Guyton had a pretty good game against the Bengals. He had a couple of deep shots, had a 44-yard touchdown, and had another deep one down to the 1-yard line. He's the deep threat of the team, and if Keenan Allen is going to miss any time, they have the Giants, and they'll be they may be throwing a little bit early on, and Jalen Guyton may get a couple of those opportunities pretty early.
Yeah, and then lastly, our tight ends. If Tyler Conklin is available, go ahead and grab him. Again, because the Thielen injury does condense the passing game, and he's going to be one of the options. I mean, if you watched last week, he had 7 receptions for 56 yards on 9 targets. So he's definitely going to be benefiting from Thielen being out. The other tight end is Ricky Seals-Jones, or John Bates. Ricky Seals-Jones did practice a couple days last week, but he wasn't fully ready. But I think they're saying he should be a full goal this week. So if he's ready to go, then that would be the tight end that to pick up for the Washington football team.
Yep.
Before we get on to matchups to attack, I know you talked about the Packers and Bears game. I tweeted something out today. I was like, I wonder, do people get tired of watching that game on prime time? Like, I don't get it. Like, that game is never good.
It's never good.
It's never good.
They're just so they have such a hard on for this Bears Packers rivalry that we don't give a shit about that. Like, we just want to see good football. Like, flex that game out of the spot. Like, the Bears are bad this year. The Packers are really good. It's going to be another blowout, right? I mean, it's not going to be a good game. I think at this time of the year is when they start flexing games, right? Right? Week 14, week 13, week 14.
They flexed the game last week.
Oh yeah, well they flexed this one, the past one, the Chiefs Chargers.
No, let me take that back. They flexed they flexed the. It was a game that was supposed to be at 1, and they flexed it to 3. Sorry, it wasn't a primetime game.
They need to start doing that because.
Yeah, I don't want to see this game.
I guess anytime they have Aaron Rodgers on prime time, it doesn't matter who they're playing. They just want to have Aaron Rodgers. So, Chris Collinsworth can just drool all over him.
Yeah.
Like he does every top quarterback. He drools all over Brady. He drools all over Rodgers. He drools all over Mahomes. Like I actually watched the games on mute on Sunday Night Football, so I don't have to hear him fawn over these guys all the time. It's kind of annoying. But yeah, no, to your point. Yeah, we don't need to see Packers Bears anymore. Like,
okay, all right. Let me get back to it. I just had to say, I was like, come on, man. Like, I'm tired of seeing them.
I'm with you. I am with you. 100%.
All right. Matchups to attack, aka barbecue chicken. If you don't know what barbecue chicken is, that's Shaq saying on Inside the NBA TNT pregame show. When you see a matchup that you can exploit, take full advantage of. That's barbecue chicken alert.
Mama's cooking.
Yes, sir. All right. So the first matchup, we always go back to the Jets. We got whoever is going to be part of the running game for the Saints versus the Jets. The Jets give up the most fantasy points to the opposing running back position. You saw last week anybody that touched the rock for the Eagles in the backfield ate nicely. So that's just a no-brainer.
It's fade the Jets until further notice.
Yeah. And then my second one is we're going back to the well with Javonte Williams versus Detroit. If Gordon is out, then fire up Javonte. You saw what he did versus the Chiefs in a losing effort. Detroit is the third friendliest defense to the running back position, 23rd in rush DVOA. We said before, we saw him smash in his first career start with him as the bell cow. So Gordon might not be back this week. So that's another matchup that I like.
Yeah, a couple of matchups that I have is Austin Eckler versus the Giants. The Giants, they're 31st in rush DVOA, and they give up the 7th most fantasy points to opposing running backs. Since the Chargers are favored by over a touchdown at home, we do we do project it to be or Vegas projects to be a you know, a positive game script. So there's gonna be opportunities for him to run and maybe even catch passes early on. So yeah, that's a good matchup for Austin Eckler. And then finally, we have Travis Kelsey versus the Las Vegas Raiders. He absolutely owns them. You know, he had 8 catches, 119 yards in the last meeting, I think about 3 weeks ago. That Sunday night game where, you know, Mahomes went bonkers. But you know, in Travis Kelsey's career against the Raiders, he has 84 catches, basically 1,200 yards and 7 touchdowns in 15 games. So you know, that's about 75 yards per game, 75 to 80 yards per game against the Raiders. So you know, just fire Travis Kelsey up, don't look back. You know, the Raiders, they're the 4th friendliest team to tight ends. And they gave up a touchdown to Logan Thomas last week. So they're going to be giving up, you know, a lot to Kelsey, and I don't think they're going to cover him this week.
No, because they don't follow anybody's game plans. They gave up. I mean, the league gave them the script to slow them down, and it's just like, no, we're going to stay in this cover.
We're going to do our thing. We're going to do it the Raider way, which hasn't gotten them anywhere over the last 15 plus years. But that's another story of another day.
Yeah. All right. So our last segment of the show is player props. You know, since we're in the state of Texas, we don't have a sports book. So how we get our picks was we play player props on Prize Picks. Player props is another form of, you know, information that you can use to come up with lineups. You can use in DFS. You know, you want to see if you beat the book in terms of parlaying some lines together and make some money. So
make a little scratch.
Yeah. So, you know, last week, again, we went 2 for 2. I mean, 2 out of 4. Lombardi, Lenny, I mean, they threw the ball a lot, so he didn't get rid too many opportunities. But like we said earlier in the show, we did hit on Russell Gage, 48.5 over Tampa Bay. That was done before the first half was even over with. He almost had 100 yards in the first half. Yeah. And then the Jonathan Taylor one, that was easy money. He got that midway through the third, I believe.
Yep.
And then
finished with 143, I believe.
Yeah, in a touch.
Yeah, in a touch.
And then Joe Mixon versus the Chargers, that missed.
Yeah, they got behind. Game. Yeah, it was a super weird game. They got behind pretty early. They were down with 24-0 or 24-6 or something.
24-0.
24-0. Yeah, so yeah, they got down pretty quickly, and you know, they didn't really recover. You know, Joe Mixon still had 19 carries, but you know, the Chargers, they kind of sold out to really stop the run, which is why you saw a lot of success from, you know, T. Higgins and Joe Burrow throwing the ball down the field. I think Tyler Boyd had a pretty good game. He had 85 yards on 5 catches, and so yeah.
All right, so my first one is I want to go KJ Osborne over 34.5 receiving yards versus Pittsburgh. They play on Thursday night, short week. I think Pittsburgh's going to have special attention towards Justin Jefferson, so don't get skint up. And like we said, KJ is the direct replacement for Thielen, who had a 21% target share for the season. So, I mean, that's got to go somewhere. So I think 34.5 is definitely doable for KJ. My second one is Travis Kelsey, tight end for Kansas City. Like we heard us say before, he loves feasting on the Raiders, because the Raiders, they just like pissing down their legs when they play match up against him. 75 yards per game for his career. Last year, he went over 110 yards both games with touchdowns. So, and then he went over 100 the game that they played 3 weeks ago. So, I just think it's going to be more of the same with that.
Yeah. We'll finish out with the last couple that I have. So for the first one is Austin Eckler, over 40.5 receiving yards. He's hit the over in 3 straight games, and he's gone over this number 8 times on the season. So 8 out of 12 games, he's hit this number. And obviously we touched on, you know, the Giants can't really, they haven't been great at defending the run or defending running backs in general. So I think this is a pretty easy. He gets a couple of screen passes, and he'll kind of take them for about 15, 20 yards. So I think this is kind of an easy number for Austin Eckler to hit. And then my last one I have is DJ Moore over 55.5 receiving yards against the Falcons. The Falcons, they've been pretty bad all year defending the pass. They are 29th in pass DVOA, and they've allowed at least one pass catcher to hit this 55.5 reception yards number in 8 of 12 games this season. Sometimes multiple receivers in the same game. So I think this last game, Chris Godwin had 143, Gronk had 58, Mike Evans had 99. So they've done that several times throughout the season. Multiple pass catchers are going over this 55.5 number. The last meeting, DJ Moore had 59 receiving yards against them on obviously just on 4 catches, but 9 targets, and then he's gone over this number throughout his career against the Falcons. DJ Moore hasn't been in the league that long, but 4 out of his last 5 meetings, he's gone over this number. And the only time that he didn't go over the number was when he had 55 yards on the button. So, this is a smash spot for DJ Moore coming off of the bye. Maybe they have more pass volume, his way. He's already getting close to a 30% target share. So maybe they'll get more creative with him, moving forward. So 55.5 receiving yards for DJ Moore.
Yeah, I like. I might have to lock these in after we get done from here because
his numbers. I feel like the number's going to climb. I feel like it's going to climb.
Yeah, I like these. But yeah, we had an end of another show. Like we said at the beginning, this is a very crucial time for some teams. I know one of my teams is very I need this week in the most worst way. So there's gonna be a lot of tossing and turning of this roster, trying to secure my spot in the playoffs. I'm sure a lot of people are in the same spot as I am. So this is the time to forget those names and go find production. You got anything before we get up out of here?
Yeah, just kind of piggyback on that point. I think I was going to make that exact point. I know you guys have a lot of players that have been underperforming, like a Cortland Sutton. That's one example. He should not be on your roster. Point blank, period. He's taking up roster space, and if you're inexplicably starting him, you're probably going to lose your matchup. Guys like him who have a name, but the game isn't matching up, you got to cut him loose and get some productive guys, or get some stashes for maybe a couple of for the playoff run that based on their usage or their peripheral numbers or whatever the case may be, that they may pay dividends for you in the playoffs. But guys like Cortland Sutton that are just rotting away on your bench, Allen Robinson, these guys haven't produced for you over the last. Allen Robinson hasn't really produced for you all season, but Cortland Sutton, especially since week 7, since week 8, since Jerry Jeudy's been back, we tweeted this out, a couple of days ago. He's droppable in redraft, but yeah, this just overall, just don't feel obligated just because the guy has a big name or his brand equity, just to hold him on your roster.
Yeah.
And one other thing, I went on a little bit of a rant on Twitter earlier, but just to reiterate, I saw a tweet from Kendrick Bourne from the Patriots saying that he doesn't care about fantasy points, but he only cares about wins. And I immediately got angry. I got angry not because of what he tweeted, but because of what he was probably responding to. A bunch of trolls that are in his mentions, basically giving him shit about his fantasy performance or whatever the case may be. Like, guys, we're still doing this in 2021. Cut the shit out.
Come on, man.
What purpose does that serve by just mentioning, going into a player's mentions and talking shit about his fantasy performance and how many points you lost by? He doesn't give a fuck. He does not. Newsflash, he doesn't care. None of these players do. Excuse my language, but none of these players do. None of these players should care about your fantasy team or how they perform. It's cool if they do, but it's also cool if they don't, because they're not obligated to perform for you. But that's just one thing that kind of got on my nerves a little bit earlier. Just please Don't be that person. Do not be that person.
Yeah, I don't get it, but yeah.
But outside of that, happy week 14, guys. Get some W's. Hopefully, the information that we presented to you guys was actionable and it was helpful. Again, we can be found on Twitter. Gene, you can find Gene on Twitter at Fantasy Genes. You can find me at just_Ico9, and please follow the page at Off the Line FF on Twitter as well. And then on the YouTube page, like, subscribe, rate, and review if you can. We appreciate the support either way.
Yeah, find us on all streaming platforms like Apple or Google under Destination Devi. We'll be back next week. Hopefully you're back here with us in the playoffs, not playing the consolation bracket. Let's go get our wins. Let's attack the waiver wire. Be safe. Y'all have a good one.
Peace out.